Alright, now I know at the time of recording this video, the Red Wings season is still going on. But we're eliminated from the playoffs, and I think all of us know no matter how good we finish out the year, making the playoffs was the #1 top priority for everybody involved with the Red Wings organization. So, the thing that everybody's talking about right now, should Steve Yzerman be fired? In my opinion, no. I think firing Steve Yzerman at this point is a really bad decision. I mean, we're getting to a point in the rebuild where this team is finally filled with a lot of prospects that Steve Yzerman has drafted, and there's a lot of guys coming up and still on the way, a lot of really young, promising hockey players that can be really good. Now, while this season is a disappointment, and I think Steve Yzerman will tell you it's a disappointment. I mean, he might throw some general manager BS in there about how we're building good seasons on top of each other or whatever. We all know that this season was a little bit of a disappointment, but I still don't think that Steve Yzerman should be fired. He's handed out some bad contracts, that's true. Absolutely horrendous contracts. But his drafting is almost impeccable. All I'm saying is, we should probably keep him around because I think he knows what he's doing. Another thing that a lot of people are talking about is, did the Red Wings get screwed over by the refs to end the year? Yes, we did. We did get screwed over a few times. For example, the Columbus game. That was bad. Horrendous. And you also had some near misses like Lucas Raymond's goal at the end of the Ottawa game that didn't end up counting. And it shouldn't have counted. That's not a refereeing mistake. I'm just saying we were that close to 2 extra points that would have helped keep us alive in the playoff race. And we missed out on them. And while that is true, at the same time, the thing that really killed us was the 6-game losing streak that happened at around the same time that the 7-game losing streak happened last year. That's the main thing that killed us, because before that losing streak, we were comfortably in a playoff spot. Things were looking good. We had dreams of playoff hockey, and then the 6-game losing streak hit. And it all went out the window. So maybe, instead of complaining about the refs, complaining about Steve Yzerman, how about we don't lose 6 games in a row in one of the most important parts of the season? Another thing that I do want to talk about is the contracts. Now, this is the Steve Yzerman criticism that we're going to get into. So, as y'all know, in the offseason coming into this year, the Red Wings traded Jake Walman and we let Shane Gostisbehere walk in free agency. This is at the same time that we signed Vladimir Tarasenko. We also still have the Jeff Petrie contract, the Ben Chiarot contract, the Andrew Copp contract, and the JT Compher contract. Okay, I'm gonna pause the video right here. I did a really bad job explaining the bad contracts on this team, so I'm gonna try this again. First, I want to look at Shane Gostisbehere and Jake Walman's contract. 2 guys that I'm sure every Red Wings fan right now wishes we retained instead of some of the defensemen that we are paying right now. Now, Shane Gostisbehere has a cap hit of $3.2 million a year, and Jake Walman is $3.4 million a year. Now, let's compare that to the 2 worst defensemen with the 2 worst contracts on the Red Wings. Justin Holl, who is $3.4 million a year, and Jeff Petrie, who is a whopping $6.25 million a year. Holl and Petrie put together are $9,650 million a year. That is how much they take up on our cap. Whereas Gostisbehere and Walman put together are just $6.6 million a year. Now, I understand the Holl and Petrie contracts were kind of not movable. I'm just saying, if the Petrie and Holl contracts were not handed out in the first place, which they probably should have never been, we would have been able to keep Shane Gostisbehere. And I still don't like the Jake Walman trade. I think a lot of people would agree. If we never made that trade, we would have been able to keep Jake Walman on his contract extension that we gave him. But that is not where the bad contracts end. There are still 4 more. Now, these guys are not necessarily bad players. JT Compher, solid 2-way forward. Andrew Copp, another pretty good player. Honestly, this year might have been his best year with the Red Wings. Vladimir Tarasenko, not at all living up to expectations, but his second half of the season was better than his first. And Ben Chiarot, who this year, still not worth the money, but not necessarily a bad defenseman, gives us some grittiness, some toughness. But these contracts are so bad. JT Compher is making $5.1 million a year against the cap.
Andrew Kopp is 5.6 against the cap. Tarasenko is 4.75, and Ben Chiarot is also 4.75. You put all of those bad contracts together, Hall, Petrie, Comfort, Kopp, Tarasenko, and Chiarot. It is $29,875,000. That is 34.7% of our cap space going to those 6 players, every one of who is underperforming and has underperformed since the moment they got here. Not trying to diss those guys, they're good hockey players, but they are not worth the money that we are paying them. And that is a big problem when you're dealing with an NHL salary cap, one of the worst and most restrictive salary caps in all of sports.
And that's not just a Steve Yzerman thing too. Our pro scouting needs to work on that, because the whole job of our pro scouting is to go to these games and figure out what guys are going to fit our system and what guys are going to be worth paying for. And I'm not in the room, so I can't completely blame them, but they've got to be a part of it, because how have all of these signings blown up in our face? Every single one of them have blown up in our face. There has not been one that has even kind of lived up to expectations. So what are we doing? Now, I do want to get to a little bit more of a positive note when it comes to talking about some players. First off, I want to shout out Dominic Schein, Tyler Mott, and Austin Watson. All 3 of those guys, tough physical forwards. Dominic Schein, the best story all year in my opinion, plays in the minors for 10 years and just now gets his NHL shot. And you know what? He gets up to the bigs and he's physical, he's fighting, he's doing whatever he can, and I think it's going to keep him coming up to the Red Wings. It's going to keep him on a 2-way contract for at least a few years, because he's tough, he's physical, he's gritty, and he brings that level of competitiveness that this team needs sometimes. Lights a fire under some guys that this team really needs, because one of the big things that the Red Wings have lacked the past few years and for a long time is physicality. Dominic Schein, Tyler Mott, Austin Watson all bring that. Tyler Mott, really good at digging pucks out of the board, never afraid to stick his nose in there and just do whatever it takes to get possession. Love that from him. Not going to say that he's a great NHL player, he needs to be an everyday guy. Fourth line forwards have a special place in my heart, okay? So I want to talk about fourth line forwards, because they're tough, they're physical, they're gritty, they play through all types of injuries just to keep that roster spot alive that they have, and it's beautiful in my opinion. So I'm going to talk about him. And then Austin Watson, big physical, gets in fights, you love to see it. CTE, concussions are bad, but you love to see fights, you love to see Austin Watson getting in there and mucking it up. It's beautiful in my opinion. So all 3 of those guys, A+. I love y'all. I hope to see you next year on a limited basis, not every night, but hopefully some nights, just to beat the crap out of some people. Now to talk about some young guys that I do want to see every day. Simon Edvinsson and Albert Johansson, really good this year. Edvinsson we all saw coming, but Johansson, I'm not sure I thought he was going to be good, but I'm not sure a lot of people thought he was going to be as good as he was, especially the way he started the year. But once we brought Todd McLellan in, he really helped bring out the true Albert Johansson, and it's really nice to see him coming into his own, realizing his potential, and becoming a solid defenseman, which is something that this team needs. Now, Moritz Seider, he's Moritz Seider, played great this year. Not much more needs to be said on that. Marco Kasper. We knew Marco Kasper was going to be a solid player. We all knew that. But did we know he was going to have the type of season that he's having right now? I'm not sure. He has come out, and really the second half of the season played amazingly. A lot of these guys turned it around once the coaching switch was made and Todd McLellan and his crew came in. But Marco Kasper, I'm wearing his jersey right now. You can see number 92, Marco Kasper. That's my dog now. Not only is he physical, which we all knew that he was going to be a solid, physical, offensive player, but he's scoring goals, he's getting points, generating offense for the Red Wings, and it's beautiful to see. I think he's going to be a fixture in this lineup for a long time unless we trade him. Now, Raymond, DeBrincat, Kane, all those guys, great seasons. Patrick Kane started a little bit slow, we saw that. But again, once the coaching switch was made, Patrick Kane really started to catch on. Lucas Raymond, he's going to end the year with around 80 points, possibly 80 points. Not sure at the time of the recording of this video. Lucas Raymond, beautiful season from him. You love to see it. Alex DeBrincat, really good player, generates offense for us. All those core guys, we need to keep them. I don't care how old Patrick Kane's going to be next year. He's still producing. Give him the contract. We got $6 million at least with Jeff Petrie coming off the books. We're probably going to buy out Justin Hall. Give Patrick Kane the contract, please. Patrick Kane needs to be here when we make the playoffs, as long as he keeps on playing the way that he's playing. Because it's not just the goal scoring, it's not just the offense, it's the veteran leadership, it's that experience. So when we get to the playoffs, and all these young guys, it's their first time being there, the value that Patrick Kane is going to bring, being a guy that's been in every big moment in NHL history for the past 10 years, that is a really big piece of helping a young team make a playoff run, in my opinion. And lastly, I want to talk about Dylan Larkin. I've made videos on him before. You know, I'm a Dylan Larkin apologist, I guess is what you would say. Some people would call me a Dylan Larkin meat writer. I don't care. Blaming Dylan Larkin for what has happened this year makes absolutely no sense. Dylan Larkin, as usual, full 200-foot game. In every sense of the word, he is the captain of the Detroit Red Wings. Why are we blaming him for not making the playoffs? I'm lost on that one. And if you're just going to say the stuff that we've heard, oh, he's soft. Oh, he's not a good leader. Like the same stuff that Dylan Larkin haters say over and over again. What are you talking about? I don't even need to justify why I feel the way I feel about Dylan Larkin. Just go watch the other videos that I've made on Dylan Larkin. But it's really stupid that these narratives are still around about Dylan Larkin, because he does everything that we want him to do. And he does them well. Never lets up. Gives it everything he has, 100%, full send, full go, every single second on the ice. And people still find a way to hate on him. Next year, we're going to have a lot of young guys coming. Really excited to see what Carter Mazur brings to the table. It's going to get better. We keep on inching closer and getting that much closer to the playoffs. If we can just eliminate that habit of having a bad losing streak in March, we're going to make the playoffs. But anyways, I'm Limitless Pulls. I'm going to catch y'all next time.
What you get the mix right, nigga, put it in the blender. Hell yeah, I'm Wingstop. Bitch, I'm feeling chicken tender. It's like I got the beef from energy and water like Kimber. Hey, turning, looking like dinner. It's like I got the bag, boy or girl.